Hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about money and mental health and how they go together real bad. I think when it comes to money and mental health, most people just think about my mental health would be better if I had more money. And a lot of other people say money buys happiness. I kind of don't agree, and we're going to get into that. Can it assist you in making you happy? Yeah, but let's not act like rich people don't be depressed. Some of you watching might be someone who makes a lot of money. Now, there's a difference between people who make a lot of money and keep money. Everybody who make a lot of money don't have no money. That's a different video. But there's a lot of people who have money and they have more problems than they have money. So, I digress. You can argue about it in the comments, but I'm not here to argue about that today. Today, we're just going to talk about the correlation between money and mental health. Sometimes money can improve your mental health, and sometimes improving your mental health will improve how much money you are able to make or keep. All right. So, a lot of things we talk about in this book will be, a lot of things we talk about in this video will be in this book that I wrote last year, released this year, my birthday. It's called Budgeting with Joy, a guide to reset and detox your finances. It is available on Amazon for purchase. Get you one too. They'll make great gifts for anybody you know and love. And I think it's money well spent if I say so myself. In this book, you will find a lot of information, even though it's not that big. So it's easy read, quick read, and it's kind of just straight to the point. I'm somebody who had over $60,000 of debt in my younger 20s, as in younger than 25, got out in 3 years. And then every time I need a little money, extra money, spending money, want to travel, do something fun, I incorporate these tips. I'm going to be honest, you can find a lot of this information on the internet, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, ChatGPT, all the things. But however, the difference is if you have the book, it's always at your fingertips. You don't have to go looking for it. You can leave it on your nightstand. You can stick to it. You can use it when you're journaling, when you're budgeting. You always have it versus always having to get back on your phone. And I think we all can benefit from reducing our screen time. Let's just be honest. And so you can find good information on TikTok, and you can always find misinformation, and you can find information that is bad for your mental health. So let's get into it. I think the first thing we have to address is scarcity mindset and poverty mindset. Somebody might want to argue that they're the same thing. Use whatever word that you can pronounce. I do not care. So, poverty mindset is usually related to being scared of being poor, especially if you've been poor before, and or some people who've never been poor are trying to avoid it like the plague. And I can't say they're wrong for adopting that mentality. Whereas scarcity mindset is just the fear of running out of resources or not having enough. And so they can work in tandem. You can experience both in different seasons of your life, right? If you initially had a poverty mindset and now you are doing relatively well financially, once your account gets to a certain amount, it may entice certain other fears of like, oh, I'm below $2,000. I hope I can pay my bills next month, even though you'll get paid again and you will have enough money. So we need to just talk about those things because that is all mental. Your mentality around money directly impacts your relationship with money. And a lot of people say on the internet and other places, people you may know, to have an abundant mindset. The ins and out of how abundant mindset works and attracting abundance, and that's whatever it is. You choose the beliefs that work best for you, as well as people say you attract what you fear. The thing is, all that is about confirmation bias. Whatever you believe usually will come true because you were going to act in according to your beliefs. And so therefore you manifest and or produce what you've believed in your heart. And so some of you may not want to agree with that based on the current life you're living, based on choices you've made and don't want to admit to. But that's kind of the science behind that. And so if you believe money is everything, then you're probably going to be a little more greedy. That hustle mentality, you will feel like you never have enough. And I always ask my clients, what is your definition of success? Because what happens is outside of inflation, let's get that out of the way, people always move the goalposts. If I just make 100,000 a year and you make 100,000, and then you also buy a new car and get a bigger or nicer apartment. And then now you don't have enough money, and then you're like, I just need to make 200,000. And some of you then reach that goal because some of you are very ambitious, and then it's never enough, and so you're never successful, and that is very dangerous because what are you going for at this point? After you reach those goals, you have to say, like, money is not the answer, money is not the solution, because at some point it's only so much you can buy. And side note, after so much money, the only thing people buy with that money is people and privilege. And nobody should have that much power. Nobody should be able to buy people and or get rid of people with their money. But that's a different video for a different time. So let's stay focused. So the way you view money, if it's a tool, if it's a resource, if it's a necessity, if it's a want, because there's happy people with less money and there's happy people with more money. Everybody's entitled to what they want and enjoy in life, but everybody just needs their basic needs met, which is just housing, clothing, food, shelter, and those things of the like, right? And so if you grew up in an environment where resources were scarce, food insecurities, um, lights were off sometime, remember going to the food bank, remember parents always telling you no, or your guardian telling you no because this bill was coming up, or they had to do this thing or that thing. Um, Instead, no, I can't get you this because of this, or oh, we can't get you anything for your birthday because of this, those types of things. Then you may have grown up to adopt two different ideologies, right? One, you worked hard, congratulations, and now whatever you want, you're going to get because nobody can tell you no. You're invincible, you're unstoppable, you deserve all the things. But no matter what you buy now is not going to make up for what you didn't get. It's not going to fill those voids. Forgive your parents, forgive yourself. It's okay, you're safe now. And that's the void you have to fill, of letting your body know that it is safe and you have the means to take care of it and it doesn't have to go without. And you should probably see a therapist about that. Then the other thing is, if you are not doing well or as well as you like, then you're still stuck in the cycle because you've adopted bad money habits. Back when I worked in the schools, I would see we'd have to be careful of what we would give to families in certain areas because their value of money looked different from some of us that didn't see money in the same way because our lifestyles were very different. Um, and so you have to consider in certain situations, if someone is used to going without and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to give them a microwave to meet the need. If these people need money for food or other things, they may sell that microwave because they're used to not having a microwave. It doesn't mean they're ungrateful, but that microwave was a means to an end to them. And some people would get offended of like, oh, well, now you had a microwave, you should be grateful for your. You can't tell people what to be grateful for. A lot of people are ungrateful, but these people also probably need to feed their kids. They don't have the money to buy the food to put in the microwave, right? Whereas someone who lives somewhere else and do not need a microwave or other appliances that are basic necessities to some of us, we would love a new appliance, right? Give me new appliances for Christmas because they're expensive. I want to replace my microwave just because I don't like the way it looks. It got a couple stains I can't get out, right? That's privilege to me though. And so, again, depending on how you raise up and how you view things, you may think things, what you consider a necessity may vary based on your upbringing. I guess that's my point. And so, you may have now adopted certain thought processes or behaviors that keep you in the cycle of not having enough because you're used to living off less. You may feel like, oh, I don't need that. And who needs a microwave? Or who needs cold water or hot water? Who needs electricity? Who needs, like, there's certain things depending on who you are and where you're from. You're used to not having it, so you don't think it's necessary. So as a result, even if you do get a job or even get a good paying job, you're spending your money on other things other than those things, right? Now that you can't afford a microwave, you're used to living without one, so now you buy new shoes. Now you're going out every weekend buying a section instead of, getting your car fixed or, repairing something in your home. Why? Because you grew up seeing that all of that is your normal, and so you don't see a problem with it. The only problem is you may be stuck in the cycle that has your parents stuck and maybe their parents stuck, that led you to where you're not doing better. And if you're okay with it, fine. No one can tell you you should want more for yourself. But I think it can come to a point where it can be concerning, because as you get older and needs change and you have children, there's some basic level needs of a necessity that if you can afford to have these things, why not get them? But you do what's best for you and your family. And then even with the scarcity mindset, there's people who are always afraid of running out of money, even though they will not. I've seen this in form of OCD and other fixations, where people who are financially stable, they have money saved, they have money in investments, they make a good salary, all their bills are on auto pay, they have a cushion in their account, all the things, and they're still going to work like a dog because they don't ever want to be poor again. They don't want to not be able to pay their rent next month when they already have a year's worth of savings. That is also unhealthy. You should see a therapist for that. Or talk to somebody who can help guide you and other resources. That is just not healthy thinking. Because one, you were fine. You will pay your rent. Why are you afraid? That's an irrational fear, as we call it. For you to be afraid of something that is very unlikely. Yes, there are some people who are living paycheck to paycheck. And so if anything happened, they get sick, they lose their job or whatever, they may not be able to pay their rent. But if you have 6 months saved, 3 months even saved, and a cushion and saving and all these other resources, and a family who would help you and pitch in, there's no reason every day you're just like, oh, I gotta grind, I gotta grind. Now, I will say that most of this happens subconsciously, but a few people are aware and still just grind, grind, grind. Other people just think they have great work ethic and high achievers, and that may be true to a degree. But again, everything in moderation. So that excessive thinking or going too far is where it gets a bit unhealthy. So you need to just check in with yourself, reflect, and then the next step would be recovery. Again, I would recommend seeing a therapist about this, but there's other people who may be to help you. There's other coaches and other people, other lines of work that I'm not familiar with. So I'm not going to give you a recommendation to anything I'm not familiar with, because you're not blaming me for nothing. Um, that may be able to assist you with this process, but you have to start unlearning. But before you can unlearn, you have to realize, what all did you learn? What did you pick up? What habits do you have that your mom used to do? What are things you even say that you probably shouldn't say? Right? Sometimes we repeat things that we've heard growing up and we think they're meaningless or not a big deal. But in reality, what we say gets inside of us and affects how we feel and what we believe. And again, then we live a life according to our beliefs. So you need to know what you believe, because there may be things you believe and say that you don't actually agree with. But again, it's a habit, it's instilled in you, it's ingrained in you. So you have to go figure that out. So you do need to do a lot of self reflection. How do I feel about money? Am I afraid of money? Do I love money? Do I idolize money? Do I know how to get money if I need it? Is money a scarcity for me? Is that a scarce resource? Um, where are you on that spectrum? And then say, okay, I'm here and I need to be here, or I would like to be here. I need to find someone who can help me with this. Again, I think my book is a great place to figure out where you are. It does allow you to evaluate your finances. It does talk about your mental health a little bit, not in the place of a therapist, but just ways you can think about it and ask yourself questions to figure out, do I have an issue with money? Is mental health affecting my money, or is money affecting my mental health? Or are they taking turns? Is this a game of pickleball between the two? I don't know. You tell me. But one thing I do know, scared money don't make no money. If you are scared of money, if you're scared of running out of money, if what are you gonna do? You have to, and that doesn't mean people who are scared of being broke are broke, because that is not true. But I'm saying, and when it comes to making money and making investments, it requires risk. You might have to quit your job that you have, even though you've been there 20 years, to get a higher paying jobs. That's risky. A lot of people would rather stay where they are because of the comfort. That's what they know. It's all they know. Even though there's better out there, uh, this is good enough, right? So that's what I mean. If you feel like you're worth more, if you know you put in the hours studying and you have the degrees, certificates, experiences, and things like that, put yourself out there. I don't think you should quit a job without having another one, unless you're me and God told you to quit your job, which is a story for another day. then of course be responsible in your decision making. But you may be scaring yourself out of making more money or financial freedom by not partaking in other things out of fear. That's all I'm saying. So here's some bad money habits that you could think about. And yes, I'm looking at my notes. Is your car note higher than your credit score? That's no shade. I just think we need to think about it. Because regardless where you are on the credit score, some car notes are too high. I do know in 2025, most car notes are astronomical and the interest rates are astronomically even higher than the car notes itself, and it's making them higher. And but however, I need us all again to be mindful of our spending habits and our relationship with money so we can make better money choices. If your car note is over $500 and you are not in a good place with money, that's irresponsible. If you are a person who's like, I gotta drive something, I gotta get to work, I need money, I do understand everybody's doing what they can to get by. Even though you're doing what you can to get by and this car is better than no car, I'm just saying when you get to a place where you can make a different decision, that is not that does not make sense. Especially if you don't have a $500. If your credit score is not 500 and your car note is 600, again, your car note is higher than your credit score. That is not okay. I have an 800 credit score and I've never got a car note over $300. Now I'm also outdated. My car is now paid off and I don't plan to get another one unless I have to. And even then, I intend for that car note to be higher than my credit score, even if my credit score was a little lower, because I we got to draw the line somewhere. But that becomes with committing to living below your means. And a lot of people feel like I deserve this and I work hard for this. We got to work, guys. We're grown ups. We have bills to pay. We have responsibilities. You have to work. I do believe in treating yourself, but not irresponsibly. At some point, it's not treating yourself. You're hurting yourself. If you are overspending, you're going out to dinner, ordering food, ordering DoorDash, you're going out to happy hour. You bought yourself some shoes. You bought yourself this in the name of a treat, but now you are in debt. Is that a treat? You treated yourself to debt? Like, we have to think about this holistically. You have worked hard. You do deserve a break. Go get you some coffee. Go get a cookie, literally. Do something reasonable. And everybody's budget may vary. So other things you can consider are like insurance, how much you're paying for insurance, what is your insurance coverage, and also when it comes to like cars specifically, your car note is high as hell, and people get cars without thinking about everything that comes with a car. You got a raise, so you go get a newer car. Now your car note is 895 million bajillion dollars. But now because you have this fancy car, your insurance is going to go up to 16,000 million bajillion dollars. And then the maintenance. Your tires in your other car, $95. You can get them down the street on the corner somewhere. Now each tire is 16 million bajillion dollars. So not only is your car note higher and your insurance higher, but to keep this car and take care of it is higher. Gas, $150 a tank, and you need gas every 3 days, premium only. What? Excuse me? I'm just saying, think about it. If you got it like that, good for you. I'm not saying if I had it like that, I would do it, because would I have a nicer car if I made more money? Yes. Would it be something ridiculous? No, because guess what? As fast as you make money, you can lose it. And you don't know what's going to happen. You can have your savings and all these things in place. But if you can never work again and you're only 22 or 32 or even 42, will you be able to keep up with that car note, the insurance, and the maintenance? So we also need to think about sustainability and longevity of these decisions we're making. And that's more so my point. Do you have stuff in storage? How long has it been there? A lot of people are like, I spent so much money on this dresser and this bed set and all these things. And so you want to leave it in storage. Storage is what, $15,000 a month? If you leave something in storage more than 6 months, you're going to start paying for that stuff again. Like, I need y'all to do the math. The amount of your storage times however long it's been there is probably the same, if not more, than what you pay for your bedroom set or your little nightstands or your washer and dryer. Sell it. You probably won't get your money back completely. Invest that money, save it, pay a bill if you need to. And when the time comes, save up or start putting money away, create a sinking fund. The money you get from selling it, put it away for when you move out again. or move or need these things, you can just rebuy them. But to have something in storage for 10, 20 years, you've bought that thing at least 5 times. Like, hello. And also, let's just say, I think I put this in the book. If you don't even go to your storage once you put something in storage, you don't need that stuff anyway. Imagine you've had stuff in storage for 5 years and not needed to go get anything out of it. You don't need this stuff. Not only have you paid for it at least twice now from storage fees, but also you can live without it because you've lived without it for however long it's been there. It's different for people who go visit their storage once a week to get stuff, put stuff back. And the same thing for the stuff in your garage. Y'all keeping stuff for a rainy day. Even it's rained, it's poured, it's been a hurricane, it's been an earthquake, and you have not used that stuff. Get rid of that stuff. If you need it again in 10 years, buy it again for $20. Like, buy it on Facebook Marketplace. Stop holding on to stuff. That goes back to that poverty and scarcity mindset. You're holding on to things because the idea of letting it go gives you anxiety. What if I never get it again? What if I can't afford it? What if it's fine? What if everything's okay? There's always two sides to the what if. And then somewhere in the middle, there's reality. But the same way you can come up with worst case scenario, there's a best case scenario. And then somewhere in the middle is what's actually going to happen. Let's play fair with our thoughts. Control our thoughts, contain our thoughts, and be fair. So I said earlier, a lot of people make a lot of money, but don't have money. And that's true. Most high income earners, you can look this up, have the most debt. Why? Because when people make a certain income, they usually like to live in a certain area and have a certain lifestyle. And it may make sense on paper, but that stuff adds up. If you're not careful of your money mindset, then you will overspend. Oh, it's only $500. Oh, it's only $1,000. Oh, this is only $500 in my last place. That stuff is going to add up. And then what do you know? You're still living paycheck to paycheck because you've upped all your expenses to meet and or exceed your income. That is not wise. That is foolish. Again, live below your means. You can live below your means and still live lavishly to an extent, reasonably. One, you need to ask, what does lavish mean to you? What is luxury? Why do you want nicer things? What makes them nicer? Because all expensive things are not better quality, first of all, but that's a different tangent. I'm just saying, make it make sense, quite literally. You have your income and then you have your spending. These need to go together real bad. They need to communicate. And I talk about how to do that in my book. Income, spending, besties. They're besties. And you can't talk about one without talking about the other. So you can say, oh, I make 6 figures. And you also spend 6 figures a year. And now you have $350,000 worth of debt. Hello? And a 200 credit score. What are we talking about? And then there's people who make 50,000 a year who have 30,000 saved and no debt. And some of them are happier. You can't even say, well, they're probably not as happy. Some people are happy with less. And I actually have lived to experience. I started making less money when I first started working for myself, and life was actually better because there was just so much peace that came from other things. My quality of life improved in other things that the amount of money I made just was not as relevant or important as long as my bills were getting paid. Did I not be able to do other things as much? Kind of. But I figured some things out. I had a few side hustles, had some ways I made some money. And I learned contentment. And I think that's what we all should learn is contentment and to be resourceful. Nobody is making so much money that they should not be resourceful. And I talk about all the ways to be resourceful in the book. Remember, it is available on Amazon for purchase. Get you a copy, get your spouse, your kids, college students, anybody you know. Have a book club with it. And let's get our money right.